speaking, I'll just go over those very quickly, but the first is to remember to mute your microphone if you're not speaking. We'll do our best as well to make sure all microphones that are not in use are muted, but it would help if you could do that as well. Mute your microphone when you're not speaking and keep background noise to a minimum. If you would like to speak, raise your hand. There's an option for that. I think there's an icon at the bottom center of your screen called participants. If you click on that, and then you look for the next button called raise hand. You raise your hand and your digital hand will be raised and you'll be selected. The other thing is to be mindful of background noise. So when your microphone is on, when it's not muted and you're speaking, just be careful about other noise from your phone or from your environment. If it's possible to close a window, if it's not too, if your environment allows, that would help. Shuffling papers and all of that, just be aware, or moving your microphone, just be aware that noise can be a bit can disturb what we are hearing. The other thing is just final aesthetic thing is positioning your camera. It's best to position it at eye level. Position your laptop or your phone or whatever tablet at eye level so that you're looking sort of straight into the camera. It also helps if you've got light near you to have the light shine on your face so that we can see your face. If you've got a window, face the window, don't have the window behind you, or any light of the sort, otherwise it'll create a shadow. Other things, just, as I mentioned, limiting distractions like notifications and other apps and things that could disturb. And of course, if you could just give us all your attention, so please focus on this event. We'd appreciate it, just also out of respect to everybody who's here. So if you've got other things you're working on, please put them aside and just focus on what we have here for today. So I will then vacate the floor for a minute or for a couple of minutes and hand over to Ayeni Adekunle, who's the founder of Black House Media. He's going to give us a background of everything that we're covering today. He'll give us the essence of why we are here today. So Ayeni, over to you.
All right, thank you, Tommy. Actually, I was hoping we could allow for a minute or two for more arrivals. If anyone can hear me, it would be nice if we just take like a minute or two for some of our panelists to get their backgrounds ready, and for some of the other guests to arrive, and for some who have arrived to be upgraded to the panelist mode. So Tommy, I'm going to come back right at you and say, let's allow for like a minute or two. I'll be on standby, so you cue me when you want me to go ahead. Thank you, Tommy, and good morning.
Of course, apologies for that. We'll just hang on a second. I don't know if I should do a bit more rambling on this, but just a second. So yes, just a bit more background on this. So there's quite a lot as well, apart from the PR report. Ayeni, of course, will give us more background on the concept of virality and other documents, other reports or elements of this grand report that we will be hearing from, put together by BHM. Not entirely by BHM, there are other contributors as well. So BHM is generally just the curator. And just looking at the lineup of who we have today, I think it should be a very exciting event. A lot of experience, cumulative experience, decades and decades of experts from within the public relations and communications industries from across Africa, with a wealth of experience, not just in Africa, but around the world as well. So this will be really exciting.
Star Jailer, I'm talking to you, Jailer. Stop calling me a prisoner. Let him if he found cast the stone, Mr. J-Lo, Mr. J-Lo. You suppress all my strategies. You oppress every part of me. What you don't know, you're a victim to Mr. J-Lo. Oh, you don't care about my point of view. If I die, another will work for you. So you treat me like a modern slave, Mr. J-Lo. I'm talking to you, J-Lo. Stop calling me a prisoner. Let me hear you if you found save me the first to cast the stone, Mr. J-Lo. Mr. J-Lo. You see, if you walk in the marketplace, don't throw stones. Even if you do, you just might one of your own. Life is not about your policies all the time. So you better rearrange your philosophies and be good to your fellow man. Stop calling me a prisoner. Let him if you found me the first that cast the stone, Mr. J-Lo. Oh, I'm talking to you, J-Lo. Stop calling me a prisoner. Let him if you found me the first that cast the stone, Mr. J-Lo. Mr. J-Lo. I am a baby say, I wanna be president. I want your money from my government. When you don't know what you won't know, but you can know. J-Lo, J-Lo. Oh, be good, be good. Somebody be good, be good, be good. Oh, be good, be good, be good.
Hello, everyone. I believe we've got more people joining us right now. So welcome if you've just joined us. Welcome to the launch of the 2020 Nigeria PR report. I am Tomi Oladipo, if you're not aware, and I will be handing over right now to the founder of Black House Media, Ayeni Adekunle Samuel. He's going to take us forward and give us a bit of a background introduction to what's going on today.
You got muted, right, Tommy? Do I have the floor?
Oh, was I muted?
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. All right. Good morning, everyone. The president of the Public Relations Consultants Association of Nigeria, Mr. Israel Jaye Opayemi, the chairman of the Lagos chapter of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, Mr. Segun McMedal, our lead researcher and our partner on the project, Dr. Adun Okupe of Compass Insights, CEOs of Placard and ID Africa, Mr. Gbenga Shogbeke and Mr. Femi Falodun, the CEO of Magna Carta, Modiehi Molekwa, CEO of LSF PR, Bidemi Zakaria, Country Manager, Viacom CBS Africa, Mr. Bada Akintunde Johnson, the publisher of Marketing Edge, Mr. John Ajayi, CEO of Seven Interactive, Mr. Taiwo Agbola, and so many other senior and respected guests, senior colleagues and partners here today. We started something over 5 years ago. Our company was just 9 years old. We had about 30 staff and revenue of around $2 million. We had just launched ID Africa, and Placard was nothing but a dream. Our only multinational client at the time was Nigerian Breweries PLC. So what did we do 5 years ago? We launched a campaign called PR is Dead, a year after we have launched Nigeria's first PR app. And then we started what we gathered for here today, Nigeria Report. We were tired of complaining about being ignored by the global public relations and comms industry. So we took it upon ourselves to do PR, for PR, if you know what I mean. How do we build respect? How do we develop the industry? How do we attract value? We're just a little Lagos agency, but we were desperate to switch things up, not just for ourselves, but for an industry that had been super kind to us. Today, BHM works for 4 multinational companies, 2 of them quoted on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. We've launched 2 sister companies and grown revenue by over 700% since 2015. We've not only established ourselves in Nigeria, we are now finalizing plans to play in UK and in America. But let's leave BHM and take a look at our industry. 5 years later, revenues have grown significantly, respect has returned, more mass comm graduates now find PR cool, and we are no longer seen as the poor cousins of advertising. In fact, digital marketing, which appeared to pull the rug off our feet for a minute, is now taking a backseat to PR. International associations and awards are paying attention, and it's just the beginning. Public relations and communications are essential, not only to brand management and business success, they are also key to national orientation, political development, citizen education, and global peace. And we're at a point in our history when we must step back and pay attention. Practitioners need to answer a call of duty to help people and companies and governments communicate honestly and responsibly. Governments and organizations need to be more deliberate about using public relations to build and innovate and develop. The world is in crisis. From Washington to Kigali, from London to Beirut, from Johannesburg to Abu Dhabi, we are facing a crisis of leadership at a time when the world is in desperate need for great leadership. We are drowning in fake news and horrible propaganda at a time when we have the most advanced technology to disseminate information to create a better world. What will tomorrow look like? What kind of future are we creating? What world will we leave behind for unborn generations? Few professions play as critical and central a role as communications, and it's time to rise up to the occasion. That's why today I'm announcing the inauguration of a couple of initiatives we believe will help call everyone to action, inspire interventions, establish goals and plans to accomplish them, and reemphasize the role we have to play as individuals, as organizations, and as an industry. Number 1, we've set all plans in motion for November 22nd of every year to be recognized as the Global Day of Influence. We can't compel or force people and companies and governments to be and do better. But as we enter into the age of influence, there's no better time to begin discussing and activating the resources that will drive us towards the kind of leadership we believe we so badly need. The kind of direction we need for our lives, for our families, for our organizations, and for our nations. the kind of direction we so badly need for our world. Number two, we have also proposed for July 16 of every year, starting 2021, to be the World Relations. PR is a terribly misunderstood, poorly appreciated, and poorly remunerated practice. We believe businesses, not just practitioners, but themselves, a huge disservice if they continue to fail to see PR for what it is and should be, a strategic aspect of business governance, invaluable in building relationships, preventing crises, achieving business objectives, pushing national interest, and preventing the kind of confusion that could ruin a company or lead nations to war. I was surprised to discover that there's not a single day globally dedicated to PR and comms. No unified agenda towards making the world understand and utilize PR better, and we want to change that. Three, we are also today announcing the formation of BHM Comms, a digital resource intervention that we are building to solve some of the most problems facing and communications today: education and training, recruitment, measurement, standardization, compensation, and networks. We replace the BHM app, which many of us are familiar with, and we are committing an initial 100 million naira over the next couple of years. So today, as we present the new edition of Nigeria PR Report, another edition of Placards Influencer Compensation Report, I want to invite you to work with us as we attempt to build the future we believe we all deserve. This is for you and I, for our children and their children. This is for everyone. To from China to Australia, for every and for every government. And it starts today. It is possible. Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you, ATG. Thank you for that, and congratulations on this launch. This is something very exciting, one that we should all be excited about. We welcome your comments as we go along, as this conversation goes on. We welcome your comments and questions. As I mentioned, by show of hands, you can just raise your hand, and we can get a word in. I believe there's supposed to be a poll as well coming up at some point, but I think we open the floor briefly. So yeah, there's the poll that's just appeared up there. Feel free to contribute to that. The first is what does public relations mean to you? So feel free to answer that. Yeah, so do we have any comments coming in, or any hands up? No? Okay. We will carry on. Thank you for the some of the comments coming in. Osagie Alonge, congratulations to the BHM group. I think we're all aware of, and this is not just a BHM affair. This is an entire industry affair as well. There's lots of contributions from different people, as ATG mentioned, different people from across the industry. So this is one to be celebrated and embraced by the entire industry. Peter Oluka, I think we will go to him. Peter. Are you going to? Yeah, there you go.
Hello, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you so much. Peter Oluka from techeconomy.ng. So first of all, I want to congratulate the BHM team and the placard and everything, all members of the team for this initiative. is worth doing. Anything worth doing is worth doing well. So this is a call to action, and I'm happy that you guys are pushing forward. So the November 22nd and July 16th Global Day of, first of all, November 16th, Global Day of Influence. July 16th is World PR and Comms Day. So I want to know how you intend to push this narrative. I know for all the global calendars we have, I think it started somewhere. Someone, initiated it, or a group of people initiated it and started pushing it. And before you knew it, it entered the world record in terms of UN or other records. So how are you going to push this narrative for the world to adopt this, global days? Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Aini?
Thank you, Peter, and thanks for your support. That's why this is a call to action to everybody. Typically, you will find that most of the days celebrated globally were created either in Europe or in America or elsewhere. What we're attempting to do is very ambitious. I don't even think we are qualified to do it, but we believe that it's better to try than not to try at all. The public relations and comms space in Africa has been locked out of the global scene for many years. We do great work on the continent, from South Africa to Kenya and Nigeria and elsewhere. And we believe that the world is in trouble. We have two options: to keep complaining and keep asking people to do it, or we can roll up our sleeves and say, why not? Why not? Don't also forget that as a continent, we are over 1 billion people. And I dare say that some of the fastest rising organizations within the comm space is on this continent. Modiei is on this call. Magna Carta is in 21 African countries, So my belief is that a lot of work we do in Nigeria, in Kenya, in Ghana, and co, if we Europe, America, we will have better global visibility. We've not, that's one. Two, a lot of the problems and challenges facing the continent are not being seen or heard or treated because we are locked out. So this is not just, the Global Day of Influence is not even just for public relations. We believe that where the world is, talking about fake news, talking about terrorism, talking about war, talking about poverty, and all of that, we believe that whether you admit it or not, we are being influenced by the day. How do we bring influence to the center of the discussion beyond everybody seeing influence as influencer marketing and say, guys, actually, we need to pay attention. How can we develop youth and models that can help us guide the world towards where we think the world should be? So as the day rolls on, there will be more information passed out. We're going to share the website for the Global Day of Influence and for the World PR Day on this call today. But I just want us to understand that we're in trouble. And you can see the protests and the riots and all of that. Social media has a lot of good, but it also presents a lot of bad, if not well used and well managed. Same thing with leaders and organizations. How do we create a world where it's easy or easier to distinguish between good and bad, where those who get the biggest media coverage, who have the loudest voice, those who have positive influence on the world, as opposed to those who can shock and who can sensationalize? Today, you know what it takes to trend. Once you have the shock and sensation value, you look at the numbers. How do we move from the game of numbers and sensation to the game of actively trying to build the world that we need? And we need you, Peter. We need everybody.
Thank you for that. We're still on this brief Q&A section. So if you've got a comment, you could either type it to us or raise your hand. But I will just go to some of the comments of congratulations that have come in as well from Henry. Congratulations on the success of this latest edition. T Billion, congratulations to BHM and the entire PR practitioners in Nigeria. A welcome development, long overdue. I think we can all agree with that. Ugo as well, congratulations to BHM on this wonderful initiative. Kudos to you all. So on that note, I think we'll go to T Billion, who's got his hand raised.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, great. So congratulations once again to BHM and the entire PR practitioners in Nigeria. I would just like to have what Ayeni had said. So this is a call for all practitioners, just reacting to the last question by the last person. So is for us to own the narrative. So this is not a BHM's call. It's not one man's call. It's for us all in the industry to own the narrative and help to drive the conversation so that we can get the recognition that we'll deserve. It's long overdue, and this is coming at the right time that we all just need to own it and then take it further and global. Thank you.
Thank you for that. That's very important. As we'll hear, and as we've said before, as the event goes on, you'll see that this is something that the entire practitioners, the entire sphere of practitioners can own. This is not just a BHM achievement. Lekan has his hand up as well. I think we could go to Lekan Otufo-Dunrin.
Okay, good morning. Can you hear me? Okay, so good morning. I also want to congratulate you on this initiative. The last response got me talking about ensuring that we have the right narrative there. And because this is coming from a team of PR people, I'm a media person. I think one of the challenges that needs to be addressed is also ensure that public relations is practiced according to the ethics. And one of the challenges that we are having in the media is that the media in recent times have come under intense pressure from all manner of people who claim to be doing public relations, and sometimes even the right ones. I mean, sometimes things happen in companies, in corporate organizations, and we're under pressures not to publish, not to portray the right thing. And this is one of the reasons why the people who have all the money get their narrative out there. People are able to hire influencers, people are able to get PR companies to call editors, not to publish the right thing. So I think this is one area you also need to pay attention to ensure that the people among you play according to the rules. Thank you.
Thank you. ATG, would you like to respond to that?
I just wanted to clap to that. That's fantastic.
Okay. Do we have one more before we move on, or should we move on? Azu also has congratulations to ATG and the BHM family. I'm exceedingly proud of you and the good work you are doing. Fisayo as well, who we'll be hearing from later. Congratulations to BHM. Honored to be part of this monumental development. One last voice before we move on.
Yep. Can I say something now?
Yes, please.
All right. My name once again is Azua Rinze. I publish Yes International magazine. And mine is just to put something on record. Ayeni Adekunle worked under me as the editor of Encomium, and I want to put it on record that right from the very first day he joined us, we knew, from the word go that he was headed somewhere. So I'm not particularly surprised, the way he has turned out. From the word go, he had always been different as a reporter, the way he would write his stories and stuff. In fact, as the editor of Encomium, then anytime I needed to enjoy a beautiful prose, I'll ask Ayeni to do the magic for me. So I'm very, very proud of him. And my prayer is that for him and the BHM family, that the Almighty God will never get tired of blessing them, that he will continue to take them higher and higher and higher. So once again, my congratulations to Ayeni and the BHM family. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that. And one last comment before we move on from Muiwa Akintunde, who says congratulations to BHM Group for delivering yet another PR report. Your persistence is commendable, particularly because we live in a world driven by data. I do hope this will catch up sooner rather than later. Lots of other comments coming in. Agua, Michael, congratulations to BHM and all PR media practitioners on the launch of this report. Okay, before we move on, Rahim.
Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Rahim here.
Morning, we can hear you.
Can you hear me? Yes. I don't want to dwell on congratulatory messages again. I want to appeal to the organizers to look beyond corporate cycle now. As things are, even though we're still strengthening PR in Nigeria, I must confess that in the corporate environment is being done, the practitioners have tried, but the public service, ministries, parastatals, government, from local government to federal, I want the organizers of this event to find a way of sharing this report with them so that they will know what they are lacking and how best to communicate their program. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you for that. Aini, would you like to add to that or just acknowledge?
Thanks for that contribution, Alaji. And it's something that has bothered us for some time now. And I think we have an opportunity to work with NIPR in that regard. So I can assure you that it's something we're going to pay attention to going forward.
Thank you. Would just like to appreciate everybody who is here today, joining us on this event. There's quite a long list of people, I think, who have turned up. This is not taken for granted. This is highly appreciated. There's a long list of people here. And as I mentioned at the beginning, we will be having quite a heavyweight discussion with heavyweights rather of the industry. So we look forward to that starting shortly. But we would just like to, I think if I could just single out a couple of people to highlight. Where are they? But okay, before that, I'll just, one more comment from Martin Mabuto, who says, congratulations, BHM Group. Your passion for everything strategic PR comms is admirable and the road ahead is exciting. For it's full of new challenges, so kudos to you indeed. As I mentioned, we'll be hearing later from Bada Akintunde Johnson of Viacom CBS Networks Africa, from Femi Faldun, ID Africa, Gbenga Shobaike, Placard, Modehi Molekwa of Magna Carta, and many more as well. So thank you for your for being with us here. John Ajayi, pleasure to be invited to this event. Still awaiting the report launch. Yeah, that's where this is it. This is the report launch. And as we go along, we'll just highlight a couple of people who we are appreciating here. But I will just quickly move on to, I believe we've seen the poll. If you haven't seen the poll, do you mind bringing that up again, just so that people can have a look and participate? And there is a poll right now. What is influence? So please give us your thoughts. We will now go to contributions. We would like to hear from industry representatives, some heavyweights from the industry. So let's begin, just to be sure, if we have Yomi Badejo Kusonya, the president of the African Public Relations Association. Are you with us? Okay. While we wait, I think we will go to Olusegun McMedal, Chairman of the Lagos NIPR. I believe he is here with us.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone. A big congratulations to the Black House Media Group for sustaining this initiative. It's been 5 years in a row. On behalf of the President and Chairman of Council of Nigerian Stock Public Relations, I say very big, hearty congratulations for sustaining this initiative. And like Ayeni said at the start, he said that it is not about the Black House Media Group, it's about the industry. This is to deepen the appreciation and conversation for the PR practice. We know that we have been shortchanged in the IMC, and this is the time for us to take our rightful place. And we are very happy that the support that we are going to give this report can help amplify the value of what we do, because some of the time when we are recommending solutions, we are somewhat, we may not have data readily available. But with this, from the last editions you can consult and get some facts right that can help, because it's all about numbers. What is it? Justify what you are doing, and of course, and we'll be able to see whether we would need your services or not. I want to also thank you, the team, for giving me the opportunity to be a contributor to this edition. I feel so honored to be a part of this edition. And I want to call on everybody, PR can especially. I know that the president, my brother, and a very, very a solid practitioner, Jaye, is always on point. I know that he's going to throw his weight behind this, and of course, see what do we need to do really as practitioners from this end. I expect that at the end of this launch, or even while this is ongoing, that every one of us here should put this on your timelines. Add the hashtags. Let us make this thing our own. We need to take ownership. And I'm saying this on behalf of the president of the council. We need all of us to amplify this initiative. It is not about Black House Media Group. It's about the industry. It's a win-win for all of us. I must say that. So on the state of industry, there is some form of a rebound, for an appreciation for what we do because of the crisis that the world is witnessing. Brands tend to talk to PR practitioners more when they are witnessing some sort of crisis. And the world is in a crisis. So we are seeing more appreciation, we are seeing more transaction, we are seeing more demand for our services. And this is the time for us to really, really, really make sure that we deliver. We deliver, we support our solutions with numbers. Let them see the value that we are bringing. Taking this opportunity, maximizing our potential during this period, in the next 6 months or thereabout, we will probably go back to, may not be as we used to have it, but we will have some form of the past and the present. It will be a dual, kind of practice, culture of work. All of us now, we are working from home, or, it's the virtual office that we are all experiencing now. And it's not going to last forever. And we are still able to deliver, So, but my prayer is that this working from home is not going to last. We are going to return to work and all of that. But we should be able to sustain the value of what we do. What we do now will determine how we survive later. Will they go back to the status quo, or will they continue to patronize us as deliver of solutions? These are critical points that we need to know. Once again, today is not a day of talks. Today is not a day of trying to fantasize. Today is a day of rejoicing. Today is a day of amplifying. Today is the day of congratulating the industry, and of course the Black House Media Group for this initiative. And thank you everyone for listening. God bless public relations practice. God bless all the practitioners, and God bless the promoter. I want to assure you, before I leave, please, I want to assure you that the Institute will throw its weight behind this initiative, whatever it is that we need to do to make that, that dot on the world stage. We are solidly behind your team. Please let us have a conversation after this launch. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you for that, Mr. Olusegun McMedal. And I think we have the previous speaker, Yomi Badija Ogunsanya, around. But before we go to that, I would like to just recognize the presence of the publisher of Encomium, Kunle Bakare, who has joined us, and several other people as well, the Chief Customer Officer of MultiChoice, Martin Mabuto, as well as the Head of Public Affairs, Communication and Sustainability, the Coca-Cola Company, Amaka Onye Melukwe. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you for gracing us with your presence. I believe we have a comment as well from Shegun Fumi Adewale, who says, this is a laudable achievement. Well done, Mr. Aini and the BHM team. So do we have our speaker, Yomi Badija Ogunsanya?
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. My background is supposed to come on. I'm sorry. I'm in transit at the moment. I'm out of base, and to be honest, I don't know how this skipped my radar. I did get information regarding it, but I thought that somehow or the other I got it all mixed up. But here I am. First and foremost, so may I apologize for the background that I don't have right now. I don't want to go out of uniformity, and so maybe perhaps I shouldn't then just show the video. But the most important thing is that I'm here. First and foremost, I'd like to, a few years ago, I remember Adekunle Ayeni coming to me and speaking on this issue that we needed to have some form of something that could measure our progress as a profession. And I thought it was a laudable idea, and I still think it is a laudable idea. And I asked him how he wanted to progress with it. I remember at that time, he and his organization had quite a number of, what do I call it, pushback from various areas of the industry. But I'm glad that despite the challenges that they faced, that this report has come to stay. It has come to be the reference point for the practice of public relations here in Nigeria. And I know many of us have quoted from it. I remember at the beginning, some people pointed out what they thought were the imperfections of the report and why they felt that it shouldn't, it couldn't stand for the entire industry. And my comment at those periods were that it's something that we started. And the fact that it hadn't been done and somebody decided to spend his own time and resources, I believe that we needed to give him all the support that that he required. I'm glad that it has come to stay. Like I said, this has become the reference point for the practice of public relations in Nigeria, and it will continue to be so. I'm very, very excited about the prospect that it holds. And anybody that knows anything about me will know that I talk about the fact that public relations in itself needs public relations. It is a case of physician, heal thyself. We write good documents, we write proposals, we write we make presentations to our bosses, to our clients, and yet somehow or the other, we cannot get our own narrative right. So the value of public relations is grossly understated. There's a huge gap between those of us who are practicing it and the people we are also serving. They do not fully appreciate the value of this. And therefore, I'm happy about the initiatives that I know BHM is announcing today. Again, Adekunle gave me a sneak preview a few days ago. Again, we as practitioners must take ourselves more seriously if we want our clients and our employers to take us more seriously. And like I said, if it cannot be measured, it cannot be valued. And I believe that this report, the biggest takeout for me in the Nigeria PR report, is the fact that we can measure our progress year on year. Are we doing well? Are we doing worse? I'm very glad I've taken a preview of that report, and I had the privilege of also contributing to it. And I'm very, very impressed at the work. I don't know how BHM does it. I don't know with the kind of resources. We are all in this business together, and a lot of us are looking for how our businesses will survive, not to come on top of taking on a responsibility that ideally should be coordinated by maybe the regulators and so on. So with that, I want to celebrate BHM. I feel as if I'm a part of BHM. I am a part of BHM. The only thing is that they have never paid me any salary or declared any dividend for me. So I'm putting them on notice that this year, either you must pay me one dividend or salary, because I believe that I'm a part of that organization. I like the foresight. Every time that I get to speak to Adekunle, I like his mind. He said a few things to me. He said a number of things to me a few days ago, and even the way his mind is going, it makes me go back and recalibrate and think to myself, have we even started as a business? But I'm glad that we have you in our business. I'm glad that we have you in our sector, because a victory for you is a victory for all of us in this business. So on behalf of the African Public Relations Association, of which I have the privilege of presiding over at this moment, I'd like to congratulate you for this great feat. I hope that sooner than later, you'll be able to extend this same report to the whole of Africa. Thank you everyone for listening, and have a pleasant day.
Thank you. Thank you for that. That is Yomi Badijo-Kusanya, the president of the African Public Relations Association. Thank you for that insight. And also, I would like to recognize the head of Global Issue and Crisis Management of Reckitt Benckiser, Dr. Andrea Riepe. Thank you for joining us as well. Lots of comments coming in as well. This is a historical day. This is from Babajide Fakie. There's another historical day in the annals of IMC in Nigeria, especially the practice of public relations, with the launching of this intellectual compendium, which will enhance its positioning in the committee of other professions. statistically. So kudos to INE the Great, BHM Group, and the entire PR sector. Please keep the comments coming in. We will be reading those out. So we would then like to hear from Israel Jaye Okbayemi, who's the president of the Public Relations Consultants Association of Nigeria. Please take the stage.
All right. Thank you, Tommy, and good morning, everyone. I'd like to say a big word of congratulations to Ayeni Adekunle and his team at the Black House Media, as well as your strategic partners who have supported this initiative that you've embarked upon since 5 years now. I shall be brief, but let me tell you a story, and let me tell you why the initiative that, apart from the launch of the 2020 Nigerian PR report that we have gathered here today to witness, one of the things I'm most excited about is this initiative around the July 16 dedication to PR and Comms Day, which I believe will speak to a major problem the industry is having. And that problem is what I call the identity crisis. There is a demand side and there is a supply side, of course, as we all know. But the problem is that there is an identity crisis for those of us who are on the supply side. And so those who are on the demand side, when they have a problem, they run to a different supply chain entirely, and not to us. So, and permit me to make a biblical allusion. The very first reputation audit that perhaps I am ever aware of was the one Jesus Christ conducted when he asked his disciples, and he said, "Who do men say I am? Who do men say I am?" Today, if you ask people who is a public relations consultant, they will most probably, in Nigeria today, they will most probably point at an editor of a newspaper, because there is an identity crisis. People don't even know who we are. And so Black House Media today is giving us an opportunity to be able to define our identity. I'm not even sure, with the greatest respect to Adekunle Ayeni and his team, that we can wait till 2021. For me, that task starts now. The task of telling people who we are starts now. And it begins with all of us. I mean, look at the sheer number of us who are here today. Imagine if those of us who are here today, together with our staff, we use the platforms that we all belong to on the social media to begin to tell the stories of, what we do, who we are. And that's why there is always a pushback. Raheem spoke earlier about government. There is always a pushback because the people on the supply side, on the demand side, in the public sector, always think that the public relations, people are journalists. And so when you want to come to the public sector to offer services, you are coming to take our job. The journalists who have been appointed by the politicians will always set up a very strong resistance to ensure that you are never appointed. So I had an experience a few years ago. I was not as privileged as Ayeni to be flying business class on that day. So I flew, premium economy, and a former governor who is now a serving minister, was somewhere in the business class cabin, and a friend of mine then came to me where I sat in premium economy. I said, "Oh, by the way, let's go over to business class and let me introduce you to this particular person." So he introduced me, then I introduced myself as a public relations consultant. And he said, "Oh yeah, I know some of your colleagues." I was expecting him to mention the name of, a Mr. Yomi Badejo, Okusoya, Ayeni Adekunle, or, and some of our other senior colleagues. No. By the time he mentioned the names of two people, they were editors. And then I said, oh, sorry, these are journalists. We are public relations people. We do what we do is completely different from what they do. Yes, there is a nexus between what we do, because sometimes on the output side, what we do may end up with them. And I use the word may deliberately to say that, because all of what we do is not just about media relations. We can do a piece of public relations work that would never require the issuance of a single press release. So I'm very delighted, and I want to assure Ayeni and his team that we will fully support this. I'm going to speak, very respectfully on behalf of the Public Relations Consultants Association of Nigeria, that we will support this. If we all rise from this event today and say the prelude to 2021 starts now, and we begin to tell the stories of the work that we do. Check my Instagram page, check my Facebook page. I am always using those two channels to tell the stories. I don't have time to post pictures about parties that I've attended. I use them to tell, because when you go, most often when you go to LinkedIn to tell this story, you are already preaching to the converted. It's a professional community, so I make sure that I go beyond the LinkedIn. I go to other streets where I know people have a very wrong perception of what we do, and they think that what we do is just another second name for journalism or for media relations. So I want to say a big thank you to Ayeni for starting this movement. What you are starting is a movement that will outgrow even BHM itself. And I want to congratulate you. I want to say that we will support you in all ways possible. We won't have to wait till 2021 to make this happen. We need to define our identity now. The quest for relevance begins with the definition of our identity. We need to define who we are. That is when the demand side can respond to us, better. And that is when we can record significant growth in the industry. And I want to say a big thank you to everyone in the audience today. Thank you very much, everyone. Congratulations to BHM once again.
Thank you very much for that, Mr. Israel Jaiye Okpayemi. There's great insight there, and we will like to get more of that from Modiehi Molekwa, who is of Magna Carta. Modiehi? Please unmute. Are you unmuted?
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great. Thank you so much for this honor. I'm greatly appreciative of being invited to participate for the second year in a row in the launching of the Nigeria PR report. And like my previous speakers have already said, I really would like to congratulate the BHM team led by Ayeni for spearheading this initiative. It's a much needed contribution to our industry by Africans, for Africans. It is really indeed time that we start writing our own stories, defining who we are in terms of the content and the industries that we are operating in. As much as public relations is a global sector, how we practice it, how we translate it into the various work that we do on the continent has its own nuances. So it's very important that we are aware of those and we are exposing those both to our clients and to the world. So thank you so much, Ayeni, for this initiative and for us to be able to gather today to, through this medium and for us to still continue to doing the work of communication. What I actually wanted to share with us, and again, is building from the contribution I made in the report, is what communication really is, and being able to understand that we are such fortunate people operating in a very important sector. I know most of the time is not given its due in terms of where it fits in within the IMC space, but generally people disregard communication. But it is actually the heart of every sector, the heart of everything that we do. In this year, the world over has been put to a pause. The year 2020 has been termed the year of a great pause due to the COVID pandemic that has rendered a lot of plans, a lot of strategies, unuseful. So what has been apparent, it has been the importance to communicate right from the government level to organizational level. How do we communicate? How do we use new ways of engaging? So the use of digital channels and being able to operate in a new world using technology has become something that a lot of our clients, a lot of brands had to find their feet and be able to operate in that speed. But what I found is that us as communicators, we already had leapfrogged that space. We're already operating within this new way of communicating. What BHM has done with the various businesses that they have launched within the Nigeria space just speaks to the foresight of consultants, of communicators, to know that the world is in a fast-tracked lane, and that it's changed, and we need to change with it. It has been unfortunate that a lot of brands, a lot of clients have been slow to catch up to this change, but it's quite important that we find our space, as Mr. Israel had said, in terms of defining ourselves and finding that identity. I think being able to operate in this new digital world is helping us to define and to get our clients to understand the role that we play. And we are able to do that through embracing the new channels that technology affords us. And they are not things that are going to be a threat to our profession. We should not be afraid to embrace technology and use this tool, but we should actually be looking at it as giving us an audience, a broader audience, to be able to position brands, to be able to speak with authority on what is happening around us. So if there's anything that even next year when we launch this PR World Day, that is going to afford us, is to be able to communicate clearly who we are, communicate clearly what brands do, and the kind of value that they bring. We have talked, and we're going to see even when people get the report, the number of communicators that are there. Not only in Nigeria, I took note that we do have quite a number of agencies that are operating in the country, but also we are seeing the importance of how we communicate, not just to communicate, but the how part of it is very important. So if as we venture into this new technological world, which I hope we will continue and not regress into our old ways of doing communication, we will take this opportunity, because if government, who were the most people that did not want to move forward and embrace change, they have been able to embrace it. They have been able to transfer messages through platforms like we are doing now. Let us take that as progress that we can never ever turn back away from. So how we are engaging, how we are communicating, and how we are connecting the world over. Our world has become a connected world, and it's very important that we continue to increase that connection through telling authentic stories about our continent, telling authentic stories about the clients that we service, and also being leaders in terms of what is the new world look like. That is something that we have to take seriously as communicators, so that there is no confusion in terms of who we are and in terms of the value that we bring to our clients. We need to be the ones who are leading the course, who are bringing new insights in terms of what communication brings. So with that, I would like to say thank you so much, and let us embrace the fourth industrial revolution. Let us embrace the opportunity that digital communication bring to us. Let us understand it. Let us arm ourselves as communicators with its key offerings and make sure that we utilize those in how we communicate to our clients and give them broader access to the world that is out there. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Modiehi Molekwa of Magna Carta. And now to unveil the report, I believe we'll have Adu Okukwe, who will lead us through this, of Compass Insights. So Adu, please come forward and present the report.
All right, thank you so much, Tomi, and good morning, everyone. As Tomi said, my name is Adun, and I'm a senior advisor with Compass Insights. We work on customer engagement and insights for various industries, and I'm thankful to the BHM team and Placard for bringing us in to partner with you on this project. So I have to say, as an outsider here, it was quite an exercise working with Placard and BHM in learning and understanding more about the PR industry in Nigeria, particularly looking at its challenges and the opportunities. I think that being an outsider also helped us to see some of the trends, some of the waves, how things were moving, how issues were evolving, and perhaps also seeing how, when you look at analyzing the reports over the past previous years that it has been in place, we were able to also see how things were changing within the industry. And so the title or the topic that we named the report is Growing Sustainably in Dynamic Times. And you may wonder why growth, especially now given the COVID situation. I think this is particularly the right time for this, especially as our findings actually show that the Nigerian industry is poised for several layers of growth. And so I implore you to read the report so that you can understand some of what we understood as growth and some of what the findings revealed as growth. But very quickly, I'll just talk about some of the methodology and the key highlights that stood out for us as we prepare this report. The data collection process happened from November to March 2020. Some of the delay happened because of the uncertainty with COVID-19 in terms of actually getting the report out to life. The first step was, as always, reviewing the existing literature, existing reports, seeing what happened in the PR industry across Nigeria. And then we issued surveys, and then we had focus group discussions. I recognize some of the people on the call today, on this session today. Thank you so much for participating, for contributing. I can also just please encourage us all that we should please, as much as possible, contribute to surveys and focus group discussions and insights as best as possible, because that's how we can learn and that's how we can improve and change the industry as we want it to be. And so the focus group discussions were via Zoom because of COVID-19. But again, I'm very thankful that participants were able to commit the time to engage in the breakout sessions and to really contribute to this report. So some of the key findings that I mentioned that I will refer to are the importance of relevance. One of the issues in the PR industry now, as have been mentioned by previous speakers, was the fact that a lot of the clients and the public do not still yet understand what PR means and who it is for. And I think it's very important that we need to start thinking about our value offerings. There needs to be more specialization, more competencies, particularly because if you're trying to signify change, especially as, like I said, Mr. Israel said earlier, it's not just about journalism or media, but also there are several specializations that are in the industry that we need to communicate to the clients. And so that was part of the feedback that we got in terms of saying, how does this industry grow sustainably? It's about expanding the value offerings, but it's also about specializing better and offering more to the various public individuals that you're trying to cater for. Not only the clients, but also the client's clients in that regard. Then the next point is the importance of within industry relationships. So particularly as you look at trying to grow an industry, it's important to have trust. It's important to also focus on expanding the pie. So it's important from our findings that PR professionals learn how to better communicate trust to clients, to partners, and to different players across the PR value chain. It's very important that that happens. Otherwise, what is the case, as some comments reveal to us, is you get this sense of backbiting and different people trying to trying to compete rather than we can look at competing, but competing collaboratively. So like I said earlier, expanding the pie. And then if we look at growth within the organization, the findings reveal that there was a real need for talent in the industry. And this ties into the earlier point on specialization to clients and more competencies offered. But you cannot give what you do not have. And so it's very important that we also focus on talent development, we focus on training, and particularly focus on career paths, right? Defining for your new entrants what the career paths can look like, what the opportunities can be in PR, and how they can best optimize these opportunities for their own personal growth, while also aligning themselves to the industry's needs. Because this is important to minimize churn. So churn came out as one of the key challenges within the industry, as I'm sure the practitioners here can attest to. And then there's also a need to harness technology. So this was before, the surveys were issued before COVID-19, and even then clients and agencies were talking about the need to harness technology. I think COVID-19 has shown us even more than before how important technology is in ensuring and enhancing that the work that is done by the PR industry is of excellent quality. But this technology is not simply just about client management, and there's an interesting content there of the different tools that you can use to enhance your service quality to your clients. But it's also looking at how that communication is done within the business, how you can also see how you can offer more intelligently and do more intelligently. So basically it's about working smarter. And that working smarter, again, is not just client focused, but even how you work with media buyers, media partners, how you work with journalists, how you work with different people, your influencers, etc. So that when we think about the PR industry and how service is delivered, it's about a really comprehensive and holistic approach to service quality. And the final highlight I'm going to mention is research and development. And as you can guess, I'm particularly interested in this finding. What was coming out, or what came out, was the gaps in the industry, because people are not able to share, people are not able to learn. And if you're not able to share and you're not able to learn, then it's very difficult to build on existing knowledge and ensure that you do not repeat the same mistakes. But not only that, it's very difficult as well to evolve as an industry, especially if we look at our journey as human beings. It has always been about evolution and learning from others before us. So we also have a role as an industry, within the industry, to share knowledge, to look at how we can facilitate more learning, more development within the industry, to make it grow, particularly as the future is going to be more dynamic, more complex, more competitive. Therefore, we need to empower ourselves with knowledge that can help us address this dynamic future that we have to face. So this is my unveiling of the report. Thank you so much, BHM and Placard, once again. And thank you very much to the contributors to the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Adunokupe, for that insight into this comprehensive report, the Nigeria PR Report 2020. We'll be hearing more from some of the other contributors who have brought great insight, great expertise to this report. But before we continue, I'd like to also recognize the presence of the Public Relations Manager of MultiChoice Nigeria, Carolina Guma, and Eniola Harrison of Africa Communications Week. Thank you for being with us today, and for everybody as well who is here joining us from wherever you may be. Thank you for granting us your presence and sparing the time for us to explore these pertinent issues that relate to the industry. We will then continue with hearing from some of the other contributors. And I think next we'll have Bada Akintunde Johnson of Viacom CBS Networks Africa, if you're with us. Please unmute.
Hi guys, hi everyone, good morning. Thank you for having me. First, I'd like to congratulate INE and the BHM family for this great piece of work, and also for affording me the opportunity to contribute to this year's PR report. It's a big honor. I do not take it for granted. obviously, I work as the head of a multinational media company in Nigeria, saddled with the responsibility of helping to helping the organization navigate this COVID-19 times, return to profitability sustainably, and contribute our bit to economic recovery. But one thing that has become pertinent in these times is that organizations cannot focus only on profitability or communicate, profit at the end of fiscals. Our planet and our people have become more important than ever before. And being able to tell that story emphasizes the need for PR to become more of a management discipline. So, I mean, those are some of the changes that inevitably COVID-19 has foisted upon the landscape. So, how we balance environmental, social, and governance performance, and how we're able to tell those stories become very critical for companies going forward. Companies and government, it must be said, going forward, further emphasizing the need, for PR involvement. So, yes, the revenues may have declined, and the briefs coming from clients may have reduced, but I think that the positive side of COVID is that there is greater need for PR. Companies must communicate, their responsibility to this environmental, social, and challenges, and so PR does become something that as heads of businesses we must consider as a key part of our management discipline going forward. Now, narrowing down to my contribution in this year's PR report, which speaks specifically to influencer marketing. Interestingly, it's one area where I've been most intrigued over the years. I worked for a 4-year period as creative director for one of the biggest telcos in this market, one with a long history of engaging celebrities as influencers or brand ambassadors. And one of the biggest challenges that I had in that time was justifying the huge outlay year on year on engagement of celebrities as brand ambassadors, outside of being able to put them on commercials and have them do some shows for the brand. It was hard to justify or measure how much impact, and things that related more along the lines of public relations. And so over the last 5 years, particularly in Nigeria, maybe globally over a longer period, the role of influencers has become even more important. Factor in COVID now and its negative economic impact. You understand that brands just don't have those budgets anymore. I remember working, with the brand and just checking through the roster. At any point in time, we had between 30 to 40 persons who were celebrity ambassadors, earning per annum between conservatively 15 million naira to some 120 million. I mean, it was a bill that conveniently ran into billions of naira per annum without any, real tangible, measure of success. And so with all of that party over now, brands not being able to shell out such huge sums on activities or exercises that are not measurable, or that you can't tie to a bottom line or how they positively influenced how people perceive the brand. Brands are looking to make every kobo, every naira count. And that has further brought into focus the role of influencer marketing in this market. And the growth has been, captured in one of the other reports that Ayeni and his team has put together, the placard compensation report, where some of the findings clearly speak to the level of adoption of influencer marketing that brands are experiencing, and the clear impact that they are making. For instance, there's a feedback, here in the report that says 55.4% say they will patronize a brand if an influencer recommends them, and that here 70% of brands will invest more in influencer marketing in 2020. 11.1% of Nigerian brands spent over 50 million naira on influencer marketing in 2019. I think those numbers clearly speak to how rapidly influencer marketing is growing and how it will continue to grow, especially now that you've got more pressures owing to COVID on marketing spend, or spend within the communication space. So in my contribution, I had articulated the top reasons why brands would use influencer marketers or use influencer marketing, and they're for the purpose of increasing brand awareness. Obviously, globally, data shows that influencer marketing can increase brand awareness to up to 85%. They would also, brands would also use influencer marketing for reaching new audiences, and it does fulfill this need to up to 71% most of the time. It would generate sales as well. It would improve brand advocacy, which is one of the most powerful, benefits that influencer marketing does deliver because of the authenticity of those voices, the relatability that these guys, this almost everyday people. They're not big name celebrities. Some of them are micro influencers who speak to a niche audience, but who enjoy a lot of credibility and resonance with those audiences. So improving brand advocacy is one of the most powerful benefits that brand influencers or influencer marketers would confer to brands. And of course, they drive lead generation as well, as expand share of voice, manage reputation, and improve customer satisfaction. You can read in more detail the huge impact of influencer marketing in the Placard compensation report, as well as my piece in the Nigeria PR report. So I wouldn't waste much of your time speaking to these things. Again, I would like to say a big congratulations to INE for looking out for the industry. It's so easy in times like this to just focus on driving profitability for your own business and just looking out for yourself and your staff. But to live for a greater purpose, looking out for the industry, driving things that are long lasting and impactful is just absolutely commendable, and it's an inspiration to young people in the practice and young people who are trying to get in. May God continue to strengthen you and bless you very immensely for the good work that you are doing. And of course, congratulations to the entire BHM team, and thank you for involving me in this one.
Thank you, Bada Akintunde Johnson of Viacom CBS, for your contribution, not just to today, but also to the report as a whole. I'll just like to recognize Caroline Oguma, just to correct what we'd said earlier. She is actually the executive head of PR and corporate affairs at MultiChoice. So apologies for the initial wrong description, and would now like to hear from another contributor, Femi Falodun of ID Africa. Femi.
Yes, thank you, Tommy. Good afternoon. Oh, it's still morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you once again for the invitation to contribute to this edition of Nigeria PR Report. So I'm grateful for the opportunity. Thank you to Compass Insights, Placard, and the BHM team. For me, the PR reports offers not just insights into how to do the PR business, how the opportunities actually for PR practitioners in terms of business growth. But for me, it's also a great tool for talent development, especially amongst the younger practitioners, people who are just moving into the path of PR practice, straight from school, first year in an agency, first couple of years in a corporation working on the communications team,
And I think for me, one very strong message that I wanted to pass across, which is basically the crux of my contribution, was about making PR people a little bit more of marketers. The understanding amongst many of our younger colleagues is they probably don't get the full picture of where the PR practitioner sits in the marketing spectrum. And this is critical and important, more now than ever before, because of some of the challenges that we've seen and some of the struggles that PR has faced in the industry. A lot of the comments so far, or the commentators so far, have spoken about how PR needs some form of PR, how PR needs to be more respected, how PR needs to get a seat at the table. And I think Bada also spoke about how PR needs to be more of a management function in terms of the influence that we have on the organizations we work for and the contributions that we can make to the goal and objectives of the clients that we serve. And I think at the back of all of that is an understanding of marketing, because in a lot of ways we report to the head of marketing or heads of marketing in many of the corporations that we serve. It's either you are reporting to the marketing director or the marketing manager, or in some cases, the CEO. And the CEO is the real chief marketing officer, if you really think about it, because at the end of the day, what's the function of marketing? Identifying, anticipating customer needs, and getting a profit. So if that is the bottom line, that's the real agenda, that's what our clients and our bosses care about, then ultimately we can become more important to their needs. We can become more useful, and we can become more helpful if we understand that entire marketing spectrum. And I will use the typical marketing 101 4 Ps, which speaks about products, which speaks about pricing, which speaks about placing, which is distribution, and then promotion. And you realize that many of this is common amongst most of the younger practitioners, is that we see our job limited to the promotions level. And even within the promotions mix, it's just a tiny portion. And that's why PR usually gets the 5% of the budget, of the marketing budget, because they assume that you can only contribute at the tail end of the journey. And I think the challenge we have now in terms of fighting for a larger portion of the pie, in terms of getting more respect, and in terms of also helping the rest of the world to understand what we do, is to become more useful on the table, or at get a seat at the table and become more useful to management. And I think having a background in marketing, having marketing training, becoming more of generalists in terms of how we think, and then we can apply our specialist skills to solving problems. I think that ultimately is what will get us much more respect in the industry, to get us much more access that will allow us to be more impactful in the work that we do. So the contribution is there in the report, but for me, I think this is like my own little agenda or my own little crusade. And I try to do that where I work on a day-to-day with my team. And I think we need to have that kind of conversation at an industry level, so that we don't just see ourselves as the people that create press releases or the people that manage media relationships, and see ourselves more as management consultants. Because if you look at it, we are competing with the management consulting firms now. They are taking PR briefs. We are competing with the likes of Fisayo Fusdo, for example, who is a great tech analyst and content creator. And you wonder sometimes, why would the brands come to an agency like BHM when they can go to a young, vibrant, creative communicator like Fisayo? And then you start thinking, maybe I need to do or be a bit more than just that content guy or that media guy or that creative guy. And for me, that's where the marketing thinking comes in, where you now see the full picture beyond mere communications. And I don't want to belittle communications. It's an important part of all that we do as business people. But I think as PR people, we should be specialists, yes. We can't be everywhere and be everything at the same time. However, a good dose of marketing understanding or marketing knowledge will help us be more effective and be better. And I think the 2020 report also gives us an inkling into some of the skill sets that are becoming much more important, much more required, and much more wanted by recruiters, by talents, by recruiters, and also by brands who are looking for agencies to support them, who are looking for PR professionals to work with them on their businesses. So for me, that is critical. And I think if we do a bit more of becoming marketing generalists, then we can do better as PR professionals. And thank you to everyone that contributed to the report. I'm looking forward to getting the world to see what the 2020 Nigeria PR report looks like. And hopefully we can begin the journey for 2021, which will allow us to even expand the scope beyond what we've done so far. Thank you, everybody.
Insightful there, Femi Falodun. Thank you from ID Africa. And pretty much just emphasizing on that PR for PR, but bringing out the distinct nature of each of these different arms and how they need to be highlighted and not just lumped together and made to look like accessories, made to look like luxuries rather than being actually integral parts of a grand whole. Would like to hear now from Gbenga Shogbeke of Placard. Gbenga.
All right, thank you, Tommy. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining us today at this very important event. My contribution to the report essentially focused on the impact or what role influencer marketing will play in a post-COVID-19 world. When COVID-19 happened, when it struck, the big question was whether it would undermine the importance of influencer marketing in shaping conversations, perceptions and all that. And what we have seen so far is quite the opposite. COVID-19, if anything, has underscored the importance of influencer marketing. And there are different examples to back that up. I remember clearly during the heat of the pandemic that many influencers around the world rallied together, supporting government agencies, supporting institutions like the World Health Organization to spread information about safe social distancing measures or practices, information about personal hygiene and all that. So influencer marketing will continue to be relevant in shaping perception, in driving meaningful action, even after we may have defeated the virus. One other very important fact or data to note is also the fact that influencers have been able to build trust and authenticity with consumers, and consumers trust them a lot, which is very key for brands that are looking to reach these consumers. According to our influencer competition report, which is being launched today, it's 6% of brands, 6% of consumers say they depend on influencers for credible information about brands and products. And that just accentuates the importance that the importance of influencers in connecting with consumers, connecting with members of the public, driving action, desired action, whether for brands or for government agencies or for any other institution whatsoever. Because influencer marketing leverages a lot on the trust and the authenticity that these influencers have been able to create with a large mass of consumers online. The other thing I would like to mention is the growth, growth in social media usage. What we found, especially during the COVID-19 period, is more people are going online. People are shopping more than ever. People are sharing more online. People are connecting with other people, on social media. And very importantly, it is also important to note that as more people go online, they're also engaging more with the content from influencers, which again underscores how important these guys are to brands, to agencies, to governments, to the field of marketing, to PR as a whole. And another thing I'd like to mention is that global, because of these facts that I've mentioned, global spending on influencer marketing will definitely increase. According to Forbes, this industry is set to become worth about $15 billion in 2 years. And that's a lot of money for an industry that is relatively young, basically less than 10 years, the way we know it now. One important factor one important effect of that is that we will see many more influence marketing platforms spring up because they typically automate the process of discovering these influencers, engaging them, and ensuring that we measure and track. Bada mentioned a very important point about measuring the impact of influencers. And one of the important tools, we have different tools, for instance, that can help you measure, but then one of the important discoveries or should I say products or results of the growing influence of influencer marketing is that we will continue to see more platforms that will come forward, more platforms that will spring up to help brands effectively measure the impact of influencer marketing. So that's, this and many more are some of my contributions to the Nigeria PR report. And I want to thank the organizers, which I'm part of, for the opportunity to be able to contribute to it. Thank you.
Okay, Gbenga, we'll still keep you here to give us more insight on these two particular reports. So we've got the influencer compensation report, as well as the concept of virality. So could you give us a brief insight into the two reports, and then we can take the conversation further and open it up to more speakers.
All right, thank you, Tommy. So I like to say that influencer marketing is not a fad or an hobby, it's a business. And as with every business, money is an exchange for value. Now, influencer marketing, as we know it, is quite young. It's a relatively young industry, less than 10 years in the way we know it right now. And as of today, it's a 9 billion plus industry, according to Financial Times. And like I mentioned earlier, it's set to even see more growth, projected to be up to like $15 billion in brand spending globally. Now, with that kind of money flowing in that industry, it is very important that we understand how compensation works in a very young industry that's growing so fast. It is important that we understand how payment works. It is important that we understand the issues around compensation, because compensation does not exist in a vacuum, right? So it is important that we understand some of these issues. How do influencers like to be paid? When do they like to be paid? How much are brands spending, investing in influencer marketing? Are brands even finding value for the amount of money, for the amount of investments they put in influencer marketing? These and many other issues are some of the, many other questions are some of the questions that the influencer compensation report that we are announcing today seeks to provide some answers to. In Nigeria, I can speak for Placard, and I know that in the last, say about 2 years, we've paid out more than 200 million naira to influencers in about 2 years. And that's Placard, right? Bada mentioned earlier about how much, companies have invested in influencer marketing within the past year. So these and many more factors necessitated the creation of the influencer compensation reports, which we launched in 2019. We launched the first edition in 2019. And I'm proud to say that this year, this second edition is being launched today. But what that stands out, should I say, actually there are many things that stand out about this report, is the fact that this edition is very robust. Last year in 2019, we surveyed just about 1,000 influencers and focused heavily on feedback from influencers. But this time we surveyed over 5,000 respondents, including brands, including agencies, influencers, consumers as well, because we wanted to fully understand the dynamics of payments in that industry. And beyond the number of people we surveyed, we also ensured that we discussed in detail very important matters relating to compensation, from consumer perception to campaign ROI, to influencer marketing negotiation, and even to issues of fraud, which some people have alluded to as a bane of the industry. So we went deeply into these topics, right? And tried as much as possible to provide very useful insights for industry stakeholders. And lastly, about the report, I also need to say that it is a very beautiful report. It's nothing like the usual reports that we are used to reading. It is well designed, beautiful, nice presentation of data. And you find this and many more information, some of which Bada has mentioned in the report when we finally open it up to the public today. Now, speaking further about the concept of virality, I know that many of us, if not most of us, want a dose of virality for our brand. We at one point or at one point in time, we definitely want either our brands or our clients' brands or the people we work for to have to enjoy some degree of virality. And what we tend to see is people make it seem as if virality is cannot be planned or is an accident or that it's usually a fluke or something, which is not the case most often than not, which is not the case. And that's one of the remarkable things about the concept of virality, because the team at BHM has done a very fantastic job of trying to help us understand how virality happens, how do things go viral, how do things become trends that everybody wants to jump on, right? Using some of the recent social media challenge that we've had in the past few months, like Don't Leave Me Challenge, Don't Rush Challenge, and I think the 10-year challenge, as case studies. What stands out with this report is the degree or the amount of data that you find in the report, the elements that need to align, for you to be able to achieve some degree of virality. It typically breaks down the concept of virality into a science, something that can be planned, something that can be measured, something that you can easily achieve, if all these elements align. So that's is one very important matter or issue that the concept of virality discusses. So you find answers to some questions like, why do challenges become so popular so fast, as we saw with the Don't Leave Me challenge, which actually went global. And then why do some brands jump on this? Why are some brands able to take advantage of these viral trends, while some others get burnt while trying to do that? Then you would also find data around how can brands better, take charge, take advantage of these opportunities to push their brands, push their products and services. So in conclusion, the concept of virality provides important lessons about virality for PR professionals, for content creators, and for everybody generally in the industry.
Thank you, Gbenga, for that. And I would like to continue the conversation, and I would like to bring in a few more people into this conversation. So, of course, Ayeni Adekunle, our host, would be contributing to this, but also Bidemi Zachariah and Fisayo Fosudo, who will also join us on this. So maybe I'll just throw in, let's all just get in on this. And of course, everybody else, if you'd like to put a comment in, please type in your comment and we can add that to the conversation. But I think maybe we could just begin, or at least continue, and on the influencer side, I would like to just throw this to whichever of our contributors can answer this. But on the influencer side, we're dealing with a different set of people compared to the traditional. So these are not sports stars, these are not musicians, these are not the kinds of people that would have PR teams around them who manage the way they operate. These are people who are just the everyday person who are prone to gaffes, who are prone to saying the wrong thing, but also because of their spontaneity and their rawness and and the way they are, that creativity also is what creates the virality. So how careful do you have to be to attach your brand to this kind of person, as opposed to, for example, a sports star or music star who will have a team behind them to say this or don't say this?
I think that's for Fisayo, right? I'm going to leave it to Bidemi or Fisayo.
Okay, go ahead. Bidemi or Fisayo.
Okay, hi, sorry, could you please state the last part of the question again?
So I was just talking about this concept of virality. We've seen how challenges go viral, and this is also about how we attach PR and you know, the bigger entities to these individuals who are not necessarily as polished as your traditional influencers are. So how do we navigate that?
Okay, first of all, I want to thank you all for having me on this report and this launch day. So I'm somebody who works as a content creator. I'd mostly describe myself as a content creator and not necessarily an influencer. I know that you know, the concept of being an influencer nowadays is for good intents, but at the same time, a lot of people have made it something else. However, somehow I fall into this category, and it's, for me, it was not really with the purposes of making money or going viral or doing anything that would cause any type of controversy or any big critical impact. However, I wanted to give value to people. So the concept of my whole channel and my work is I take a product or an app or a service or something that I'm interested in, and maybe a brand reaches out to me. I review it and I give people the value proposition or the feedback about it. So I mostly deal in smartphones and apps and accessories and services, like I said. And when I review these smartphones, I talk about the good, I talk about the bad, and sometimes it gets watched by a lot of people. I remember yesterday I did something for a brand and almost like 50,000 people saw it. It still shocks me till today that people get to watch it, but I know that I'm trying to deliver value to people, and I know that when they watch my video, when they watch something I create, people see the good or see the bad or see what they need to see in that product or service before they buy it or before they
Fisayo, have we lost you?
Yeah, it must be his internet connection.
Okay, is Bidemi there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, as we wait for Fisayo to come back, maybe you could contribute to this.
Yeah, sure. Generally, even just as individuals, as regular people who aren't celebrities, even with celebrities not being as polished as traditional influencers, even those that do have teams, sometimes they do voice their opinions themselves without the management of their teams. I think case in point is J.K. Rowling and what just happened recently with her comments about the transsexual community, and that, you know, garnered a lot of negative response because this is a woman who is deeply admired for her work and then tries to say something about a particular community that are going through things, you know, that people don't really take serious. And that is somebody with a team. So imagine just a regular influencer and just having to say things. We do always have to be careful online because the truth is now everybody has a particular level of influence. Even just a regular person, as long as you have a phone, as long as you're using social media, as long as you're sharing information, you have a certain level of influence, and you always have to be careful with what you say. Even as PR practitioners, I'm sure everybody on this call, you know, sometimes you really want to insult or share a bad experience you've had with a particular company, and you hold yourself back because it's like, that could be my potential client, or who could know that person, that, you know, somebody in that company could be working there that can say something bad against you. So I think generally, yes, there is that. Social media doesn't allow you make mistakes. You know, it's not really a place where your mistake is forgivable before you delete. You know, somebody has taken a screenshot and then it becomes an apology that's either accepted or not, and you have to start explaining yourself. So even just as regular people, and not being an influencer, as long as we have a phone, as long as we're on a platform, we have to be very careful with what we say and our actions and thoughts and the way we put it out there.
And it's not just controversy that goes viral, it's also other things. You know, there's actual created content that goes viral. Look at the challenges, we look at, you know, as was mentioned, the don't leave me challenge, or the don't rush challenge, and those kinds of things. Are those avenues for brands to get involved in, or sometimes should people just let them be what they are?
Well, I think the report has a very interesting case study that I looked at last night about the 10-year challenge, for example, and how McDonald's, which is a fast food chain, took advantage of that. So what do? They decided to do like for 10 days, they ran a campaign where you could buy certain things, you could buy off their menu for the price it was 10 years ago. You know, and that was very interesting to see how a brand took advantage of that particular situation. And you know, the thing about these challenges as well is the impact on music. Because when you look at the music industry, and the Don't Rush Challenge in particular, the song had been released 1 year prior to when Don't Rush Challenge came. At the beginning of the pandemic, there were songs from 2014 that started trending. It first started with the Baby Don't Give Me Something, you know, and that is a song from like 2016, but all of a sudden, these songs are going up the charts. And, you know, look at how America has really embraced people being at home with the Versus Challenge as well, and how, you know, you bring all these old artists together to do a challenge, and all of a sudden their songs are going up the charts. So it's definitely, brands are taking advantage of it. Obviously, Apple is now sponsoring Versus, you know, so brands are, there's definitely an opportunity to sort of latch on to a campaign and make it your own. But of course, doing it the right way is what's important.
I think we have Fisayo back. Fisayo, I allow you to continue, but also I'll ask you a question about the current state of things, you know, the world as it is, but also the fact that we are all in a smaller space because we're all now more on the internet together. So we now see, for example, Africans, Nigerians getting more prominent in the world stage because the internet has made the world a smaller place. And I believe that is your experience?
Yes, it has been my experience even before I started creating videos. So for me, I started out as a freelancer. And when I started out, I already had people that I worked with from the US and Australia and Germany already before I started even creating videos. So the world is a small village already.
And I think we've lost him again. Are you there? Okay.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I'm switching in between phones. Okay. So yes, like I said, the world is already a global village. The way we're working, we can, because of the internet, we can work with somebody from, and many of these people I've never met. Many of the people I've worked with, I never met physically. Even before 2020, we've already had, you know, conversations, there's already trust, there's so many systems and so many applications and services that help and enable this thing. I'm also grateful to Placard, which is also part of this family. I've worked with them for the longest time now, and they've been one of the very interesting people I've partnered with in this journey of being a content creator and influencer. So yes, definitely, because of the internet, because of the impact of influencer marketing, it's there's this global sense of connectivity right now, and even in Africa here, we are able to see opportunities or get opportunities to work with many of these people. So
okay, well, the conversation is open, so we'll just have people contribute. Oki Sampson, I believe, has a contribution. Please. Do we have you on? Nope.
Okay. Tommy, if I may come in there, I just wanted to comment with what Bidemi had said in terms of how we could take advantage, or how brands can take advantage of some of these challenges or some of these trends or viral campaigns that goes out. I think for me, what's key is for us to understand that you have to be strategic also in terms of how do you participate in these challenges or in this viral campaign. Because if you are not authentic in your participation, the audience also can pick up that you are just doing a pure brand push, or you just want to be part of the trend for the sake of it, and they will call you out and you will create an unnecessary crisis for yourself. So with the McDonald's case study that she just shared with us, they were genuine in terms of how they did the 10-year challenge. So you don't just jump onto a challenge or jump onto a campaign just for the sake of being within the trends and being on top and let the people speak about it, because you can damage your brand as well. So, and that's where we help and we come in. We are able to structure and help clients that this is how you jump into a conversation. This is how you hijack the trend. And all of that, there is a strategy behind. I know sometimes, people think that these things just happen without thinking or planning, but there has to be planning that goes on, because otherwise you are creating a crisis for yourself.
Thank you for that, Mujehi. And on that note, I just adding in the broader conversation, how do you position yourself? I probably want you to elaborate on that, but how do you position yourself in a way that you can convince these people that it's not just as simple as it looks? Because I guess brands will look at some of these things and think, oh, it's just normal people who are doing it, so we can do it ourselves. We don't need the help of an intermediary or a PR agency in the middle to do this. So how do you convince them that they do need this assistance?
Hi, sorry. So I think what is key in us being part of the conversation. I mean, we've been talking about elevating our profession to be part of the, to sit at the table. Is to bring the insights and to educate ourselves. So I think as PR professionals, we have downplayed our role in the IMC. We have basically accepted that we are the poor cousin of advertising and all other disciplines within the IMC. So we need to start looking at our position and understanding that we do play a strategic role, and we are able to help brands engage with the public in a meaningful way. So we have to be strategic. We have to come up with plans that are well thought out. It doesn't help sometimes when we are sitting at the table and we have no value to offer, or we are not able to come up with advice that is actually going to help the brand to look its best and be able to participate in a meaningful way. So it's what we bring to the table that's important. It doesn't matter. We can sit at the table for all we want, but if we don't bring value, if we are not bringing any insights into that table, we might as well not be part of it. So making sure that we educate ourselves in terms of the trends that are happening, finding new ways of communicating, new channels of communicating, bringing relevant parties, whether it's influencers, whether it's various stakeholders, bringing them to the table to show the value to the client. That's the only way we can actually claim our relevance. So until such a time that we understand ourselves that we are critical to the whole equation, no one is going to give us that position. We need to actually go in prepared and own the table.
Okay, do we have Oki Samson who wanted to speak? Meanwhile, we've got Shegunfunmi Adewale who says influencer marketing can technically be a game changer if it's strategically plugged, and it must appear authentic. I think that echoes what we've heard from Modiehi and Bidemi as well. Ayeni, do you have an add to that? Anything to add to that?
Well, I just want to say that there's been no time before now that we've had the potential to play our role in influencing the world. Modiehi said it, Bidemi said it, Gbenga said it, Fisayo said it, you know. You don't have to have 1 million followers. You don't have to have 250,000 followers. You don't have to be on all the social media platforms, you know, and that's one. If you have 10 followers and they're your classmates, or even if your account is private, or you're on Snapchat, or it's your WhatsApp stories, you know, the way storytelling evolved, if we truly believe on a certain direction, then we have an opportunity to start that conversation. I see people call out, why are you not talking about this? And I don't know how many people saw the Dave Chappelle special after the killing of, I think it was George Floyd, where he said, I mean, the guys out there are not out there because one celebrity asked them to. They are out there because they feel the pain and they think they can make a change. We are more influential than we want to believe, than we like to think, in our own spaces, in our families, in our communities, in our offices. What I request is that organizations, countries, and co need to set clear agenda. I asked a question. I participated in a conference recently, and I asked the question, what is the Nigerian dream? Let's say I hear what BHM, NIPR, PRCAN, everybody in comms are saying today about, guys, it's time to switch it up. We need to make the world better and play our role. If I want to play my role in helping Nigeria, what is the Nigerian dream? What should I be doing? In what good ways can I make influence? Talk about Africa, 1 billion plus people. If I want to, we all know I think they are called development goals that were set up by the UN. I think countries have a role to play in defining an agreed direction that will make the countries better. As a continent also, we need to have it. America, Singapore, the UAE didn't get to where they are by winging it. So, and that's why in my speech I said, there is a role for me as Ayeni. There is a role for BHM and ID Africa and Placard and Magna Carta and LSFPR and Chain Reactions and all of them. There is a role for PRCAN and NIPR. There is a role for Lagos State. There is a role for Nigeria and Kenya and South Africa. We must be intentional about setting the agenda. But when that agenda is set, or even if it has not been, I have decided that in spite of not having an idea of what the Nigerian dream is, or not being told by the National Orientation Agency or by the African Union what I can do in my role to make the world see and take Africa more seriously, I have decided that I will use my skill and my talent, which is communications, to show. And everywhere I go to, whether I'm in Finland attending an ECO conference, or I'm talking to the OMS report, or I'm with Magna Carta or Multichoice in South Africa, I am intentional about saying, guys, this is what I believe we need to do. The world will benefit from Africa's success. It is not a competition. The world loses nothing by understanding the role that Africa has to play. And Africa itself benefits. So Jaye said it's win-win. I don't see how the world will be better. 7-point-something billion people by 1 billion people not adding value. Same with Nigeria. Nigeria benefits if all of us understand what we need to do in our streets, in our churches, in our mosques, so I see influence beyond marketing. I see influence beyond communications. I see influence. We can complain from morning till night. Look at South Africa. Africa was a model country. Look at what is happening there. Look around the continent. Look at Nigeria. Go to America. You can look at Nigeria and co and say maybe it's because we are developing countries. Look at America. America is about to enter into an election in November where people are already afraid and speculating that this may not be an election. How did the world get? Look at the WHO. Look at the UN. So when I say the world is in a crisis, it's not a cliche. It's not we're in trouble. And I think we can't keep saying, after all, I'm just ironing in one little corner. After all, I'm just doing, no, we need to understand that each person must play their role. And I define that by individuals, companies, countries, continents, and organizations. Thank you.
Thank you for that. We have a question from Oluwatosin Akinrinde, which goes, what are the far-reaching effects technological advancement would have on public relations and communications during the post-COVID-19 era? I'll throw that out there. And as anyone prepares to answer that, I'll just take a comment from Shegunfunmi Adewale that says, customers are ready to consume brands communication, provided it's a fantastic customer experience. So back to that question, what are the far-reaching effects?
I was going to say something.
Ayeni,
please. I was going to say that if we still have the president of PRCAN or the chairman of the Lagos NIPR, it would be nice if they can help us take that. It's just my humble suggestion.
Mr. Israel, are you there? Or Mr. McMedal? Or anybody else? Okay.
This question about the effects of influencers.
It is the effects of the technological advancements. What will technological advancement have on public relations and communications going forward?
If I may come in there, I think from my side that one of the the advantage of technology in post-COVID that I think is going to help us is that it's going to help us to work smarter. The fact that we are able to engage in this manner through this technology already, it really makes things easier. I know in countries like Nigeria, where we've got issues in terms of infrastructure development, where we've got issues of traffic, and to do press conferences and to do events, sometimes it takes long for people, especially our media partners, to get to events because they are stuck in traffic and all of those things. But what technology now helps us to do is that we can connect virtually and they're able to still get the same content, and we can even be able to give them sound bites, whichever way they would like to get that content. So it's going to make things easier. There is no need anymore for us to be physically gathering. It's cost saving as well. So we know that from a PR perspective, we are always given very small budget to execute massive things to be able to have impact. So we could be strategic in terms of how we use our budget and be able to communicate widely and more effectively. So that's why I was saying earlier in my talk that I hope that we do not go back to the old ways of doing PR and communication, that it will take advantage of what technology has given us in terms of using the tools, in terms of using some of the channels to be able to engage and to speak. And if the key public and the key stakeholders like government, if they've adopted to that, why would we go back? So I think it's only for us to reinforce the importance of using these tools, being able to utilize it, because also it helps us to be able to measure engagement. So we are able to also report back in terms of the kind of impact we have had through our engagements. So for me, it's really making the world and our space to work easier and to work smarter and to be able to be ahead of the curve in a lot of things.
Thank you for that. Do we have any of the other PR practitioners able to respond to that? It's an open discussion.
Let me just quickly share this about how technology will impact. The technology is an enabler. It will help us, a lot. I'm going to say something that some of you may find controversial, and that the truth is that until this lockdown, about 70% of practitioners are lost. They cannot use technology for work other than pushing mails and the Microsoft Office. That's a fact. About 70%, once they are using technology, they are not there. But this lockdown has offered us that opportunity to learn, to unlearn and relearn. So I'm happy that most of the practitioners, as we speak today, can now play very well in the digital space. So I see that because now we are exposed to technology, more people, they don't have any choice than to learn how to use it. There's so much opportunity that will come. I want to say this because I noticed that not many companies have this policy in place. In the short run, very soon, corporates will be coming to us because they don't have social or technology usage policy, social media usage policy. They don't have it. They will be coming to us to develop a policy for them. We should be ready. The opportunities that technology offer is so great. I mean, you cannot even fathom it. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that, Mr. McMedal. I have a question from my, maybe a bit of a selfish question, but how does PR engagement with traditional media go forward from here? Now that we've seen the rise of the influencers and that, how does that affect the engagement that is existing with traditional media? And I'm throwing that out there as well.
I think what we're finding is that the traditional media platforms are beginning to evolve as well. So you see a TV station with a social media platform, with a website to make sure that they have a digital presence. So, and that is added value, so they're not, you can't really say that most of the traditional platforms have just remained traditional. A lot of them are beginning to make sure that they integrate that digital tools into how they're able to communicate with their audiences. So with traditional media, you get a mix of traditional and digital. And that's what you're beginning to see in the industry.
Thank you for that. We have a comment from Babajide Faki. I don't know if I referred to this, but said influencer marketing has been part of PR execution mechanism, which can be referred to as third-party endorsement. What makes it more prominent now is the amplification that the digital spaces had provided for it, which we, that's PR and comms professionals, need to be controlling the narrative deliberately and strategically. While technology would advance pragmatic impact and commensurable measurement to some of our campaign deliverables. But basically just saying that PR comms need to position strategically in the sphere of influencer marketing. We are sort of running short of time now, but I would also like to probably bring back Fisayo again. Are you still here with us?
I'm still here.
Oh, you're still here. So Fisayo, just tell us, where do we go from here? Let's say, and looking at your platform post-COVID, where do we go from here? Do you predict, at least in terms of brand engagement, in terms of influencer versus traditional brands, do you see a reversal back to the way things were, or how do you see things progressing?
Okay, so right now, the way everything is right now, I think we're going to make some sort of progress with influencer marketing, and I would say this year I've sort of gotten more would I say work with companies. I know it seems a little bit weird, but okay, so last year was sort of my growing year, and then this year was more working with a lot of brands. First of all, because they did a lot of, sorry, please, I need.
Lost you briefly there, but maybe I can bring.
Okay. So like as I was saying, so this year I got to work with more brands, and in terms of generally, I also wanted to sort of pinpoint to the technological question. I saw I currently use the US App Store. I also use the Nigerian App Store. And I saw like there was this huge spike in video conferencing platforms like Zoom. There was this app that came briefly like House Party. And there was also essentially video conferencing platforms. And like somebody mentioned as well, like the use of technology in companies. Being somebody that has also worked in a company as well, I worked as a social media marketer in a company once before. I also saw that there was the need as well to make everybody use technology essentially in integrated in certain ways beyond using Microsoft Excel, beyond using Word, and beyond sending emails and stuff like that. Essentially, yeah. So like something like that, technology has seriously disrupted a lot of things, and being somebody in the content creation space or in the influencer space, post-COVID, hopefully we get past all this. I think that we are going to see a huge change in how we deal in things if technology is thoroughly implemented and if there's a serious policy that is taken into consideration. I think that there will be a big change, and I think we're already even seeing that now.
Thank you for that, Fisayo. We have a question from Wale Ozolua asking, do you envisage any form of changes concerning PR in the music industry? Who would I put that to? Aini, maybe, or okay, Femi, did you address that?
Yeah, let me comment on that. But before I answer Wale's question, I think Babajide Fakiye made a point that I also would like to stress. So this is just amplifying what he said, and it's also part of what I think the impact of technology on the practice of public relations. I think one very important impact is in the area of measurement, because more PR activities, more PR outputs will now be done via these digital channels, mostly because most of the traditional opportunities that we used to deploy, for example, having press conferences, doing street storms, activations in the open, in the public places, many of those things have slowed in the past 6 months. So we've been forced more than ever before to do most of our communication, most of our publishing, most of our outputs, most of our activities, including media engagements. Everything is being done via Zoom and all of that. What it has done is it has now given us an opportunity, because most digital media channels are measurable and you can easily extract analytics to show clients. So it gives us an opportunity to be more, what's the word now, to show proof for the work that we do. So I think that's part of what Babajide is saying there, and I agree with that technology is giving us, whether we liked it or not, we now have to show proof of the effectiveness of our PR activities. In terms of music, I think one thing that the real winners since COVID-19 adjusted the way we lived our lives in terms of PR, publicity, and communications have been the artists or the talents or the creatives who've built digital communities that are very active. And you can see that clearly. This past 1 or 2 weeks in Nigeria, you've had several people release albums. And without naming names, you've seen the winners and the people who struggled in terms of initial impact, in terms of exposure, in terms of talkability. Most of the more successful musicians have been those who over time have created a community, an active community of fans that they engaged on a regular basis. They've built a relationship, they are responsive. And you can see that immediately they start building some kind of hype around their coming projects. You find out that fans are more responsive and more active. I'll name a few examples. DJ Cuppy's album was well received, well talked about, and the attention was quite impressive. And even the reviews, the early reviews, same thing with Burna Boy's album. They deployed both digital channels to engage their fans, to engage the media, and to tell their story. And 1 or 2 of those that have not been so well received have been because the personality of those artists naturally was not that of a highly engaging personality. They were not too active, they were not too personal before COVID. So what COVID just did was force everybody to be limited in terms of the number of media channels available for comms or for publicity. And now that we are all stuck with the internet and digital channels, and nobody is using billboards like they used to because nobody's out on the streets, nobody is doing street storms and events like they used to, those who have mastered these digital channels are actually winning because they have a head start and because they've built an active and very, very vibrant community. So in terms of the impact of this on PR and comms for music, I think it has shown everybody now, more than ever before, that you really can't succeed long-term depending on the mass media channels that were available. They are still there. Television is still important. Radio is still important. I don't know how important billboards are now. Maybe when we start going out fully across the world now, they will gain relevance once again. But the people that have won in this COVID era are those who have built great communities with their digital channels. Personalized engagement has been the real winner. And I think that's what everybody needs to learn going forward now.
Thank you very much for that insight. It is possible to monetize and grow on virality. These are not empty movements. So thank you very much for that insight. Thank you to everybody who has contributed. Shegunfunmi Adewale highlights that point and says content and data are the new crude oil thanks to technology. I think that's a very important point. Thank you to everybody who has contributed so far and who has also listened in or watched in. We have a poll that we're still running. What is fake news? I think is one that we can contribute to as well. Thank you for everybody who's been contributing to the poll so far. I would encourage us to take part in that. And let me just hand over to Enitan Kehinde, who will take us forward.
Thank you, Tommy. Thank you for taking us through the entire event today. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today. I'd specifically like to thank everyone that pre-ordered the report. We got quite a bit of reception, so I was pleasantly surprised. We're immensely grateful for all of the support that everyone has shown us on this project, especially considering the way the year has turned out. I'd like to first of all thank the team at Compass Insights, the team at Placard, also the team at BHM as well. It's been a very long process and now we're here, we're at the end, and I just want to say thank you. I also want to thank the team at One Wildcard for putting the beautifully designed report together, and also the team at Color Team as well, who has been doing a lot of our designs for us as well. Very key for me is to thank our our partners, and even the association, the Public Relations Consultancy Association of Nigeria, Mr. Israel Jai Opayemi. I am so grateful for all of your support, for all your words of wisdom. Also to YBO, Yomi Badijo Kusoya, I just want to say thank you as well. And also to our big boss, our big uncle, Olusegun Makmeda of Lagos NIPR, I want to say a very big thank you. You're always there for us. You always come through for us. So please, I'm very, very grateful. Very important for us as well is the media. You have always supported us from 2016 January when we released the first report. You've always been there for us. You came through for us, and this is the 5th year and we're still going on. I just want to say a very big thank you to the media for always being there for us. Very key as well is everyone that has joined us and has been with us here for about 2 hours. We've gone over 2 hours. I just want to say thank you to all of our contributors, Bidemi, Zachariah, Benga Shobaike, Femi Falodun, Injideka Akabogu, Sharon Gray. There's also YBO as well. There's Olusegun Makmeda, Badaki Tunde Johnson, Mudei Mulekwa, everyone that has in one way or the other contributed. There's Uche Ajene Ayere. There's also Omar Omiogbe, Adon Okupe. I'm very grateful for all of your help, for all of your contributions to the report. We couldn't have done this without you guys. I just want to say thank you to everyone. One thing that's very important for me as we leave the meeting is to also get everyone to also download the reports. The reports are available on, the Nigerian PR Report is available on the Nigerian PR Report website. So that's www.nigeriaprreport.com. It's also available, it's going to be available on Amazon and iTunes today. So please look out for that as well. We'll be sharing all of the details. The concept of virality is going to be available, or rather is available on the BHM website. So it's on www.bhmng.com/the concept of virality. Placard's influencer compensation report is available on the Placard website as well. If you go to the homepages of all 3 websites, you'll be able to navigate clearly to all 3 reports. What's also very important for me before we leave is the World PR Day. World PR Day is, yes, we know we want to start recognizing it from 2021, but we want to begin the conversations today. And so if you go to social media, on Facebook, we are World PR Day. On Instagram and Twitter, we're at Influence Day, but I is number 1 because we believe this is one of the most important days to be celebrated across the world. For Global Day of Influence, we're also on Facebook as Global Day of Influence. We're also on Instagram and Twitter at Global Day of Influence. Global Day of Influence. World PR Day is at World PR Day on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. The websites are also available for World PR Day is www.wprd.app, and for Global Day of Influence is www.globaldayofinfluence.com. So you'll be able to visit the website, visit our social media accounts, and get more information about what we're planning to do. We're particularly excited about Global Day of Influence because we have quite a lot planned. That's coming up November 22, 2020. That's less than 2 months away. So we're really excited about that. And we're also excited about the types of conversations that we're going to comment on World PR Day as well, because it's very important to us as well. So I just want to say once again, a very big thank you to everyone, everyone at BHM, everyone at BHM Group ID Africa. You guys have been awesome. I just want to say a very big thank you. And to everyone that has been on the call, all of our clients, all of our friends, all of the media, all of our partners, thank you for joining us and spending your morning with us. Let's have a fantastic weekend as we go through the reports and enjoy all of the different reviews and thoughts. Thank you very much.
Thank you to everybody. Thank you to Enitan for that, and Ayeni Adekunle for your for really putting all this together. We appreciate your hard work and your team, BHM, and all the practitioners who've brought in their insight, their expertise from all corners. This has been a great insight. So I'd encourage everyone to study the reports. There's a lot of great insight in there, as I've been seeing, and this will be helpful across the board. I think we'll gain great insight from this. Thank you, and all the best. Congratulations to the team once more.
Thanks, everyone. forward to seeing you.
I go show you wonderful. You no go believe wetin wan happen. No disturb us when the gbedu wan catch you. Like you dey sleep, but this one pass you. The gbedu don start on you. From your feet all over on you. Somebody that on you. 'Cause I'm feeling it in my soul.